Hello there everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Crys'Dawna. If you are new here, please hit the subscribe button and then hit the bell and you'll get all the latest videos I put out. I usually do 1 or 2 a week, it depends. It really depends over here. If you're not new here, welcome back friends and family. I appreciate you guys so much. Even if you're new here, I appreciate you guys stopping in and saying hi. So this video, I had this in my house for a while. I did this like a year and a half, 2 years ago. It's got some transfers on it, it's got some texture on it, but I decided I want a whole different look for it, and I'll probably play in with the texture that's already on here, but I don't want these transfers on here anymore, and I decided I kind of want to make this into a bench. So we're going to keep the drawers and then turn this side so that you can sit on it. It'd be a really cute entryway piece if you guys can ever get a hold of a piece like this that has, you know, drawers here, or even if you have a smaller dresser or a chest that has drawers on each side, you could do pretty much the same concept. We are going to remove this side and turn this into a bench where we can sit on it. I think it's going to be cute. I hope so. I hope it's going to be cute. I hope it is. All right, guys, stay here if you want to see me transform this piece. The first thing I did was remove all the old hardware. I removed the door, the drawers, and then I flipped over the piece and there were screws holding the top in, and I made sure that I removed those screws. And there are these little brackets in the back that were holding the top to the back of the piece, and they were metal, and I just pulled those out as well. After I removed the top, I took my jigsaw and I had a wood blade and I made sure that I cut that top bracket on the side that I want a seat to go in. So I just cut along where the drawers are and then I cut along the other side so that when I flipped it back up, there's already kind of a little seat there, but it's a little bit low. I think it's looking pretty good. I'm going to use, there was a shelf on the inside of this, and I'm going to use the brackets on the side where the pre-existing shelf was to be the brackets for where the seat goes. So I'm going to take a 1/2 inch plywood and I am going to measure the length and the width of that opening, and I'm going to cut it with my jigsaw. You guys are amazing and you give me tips and tricks. And so I love that about you guys. I love when you give me tips and tricks, and maybe there's something that I didn't know and you let me know. So I enjoy being coachable because then I can help coach others. So I am taking my speed square and I am cutting along my speed square with my jigsaw to make sure that I stay in a straight line. So this is one option for you if you want to do this. So thank you for giving me this suggestion. And then I am also cutting it. I made a very dark pencil line and I'm going to cut along that line as well. So you have a few options. I like the jigsaw. I also like this. I don't have a speed square big enough to go along this area, but I'm cutting it and then I have my seat in there. And so then I'm going to put, this was the bracket that I cut off, but I want you to visualize this. So I am going to put a 1x3 across the front of it just to kind of make everything come together because of that seat right there. So I'm measuring the length across and I'm going to cut that 1x3 with my miter saw, and then I'm going to use my Kreg Jig and I'm going to make some pocket holes on the inside so that I can screw that into the seat, and then my actual seat that I cut will sit on top of that as well. So it'll have the side brackets that were already pre-existing, and then this part that I'm cutting right now will be the front bracket, so that you'll have a lot of stability for when someone sits down on this bench. I'm a super big fan of the 720 Kreg Jig Pro. It comes with a gauge to show you the thickness. So right here, it's landing on to 3/4. And so this means that I have to take my drill bit, and there are little measurements. You can see there's a 1/2 inch, 3/4, and then I think that's 1.5 at the bottom. And you're going to push the stopper up to the 3/4, and you are going to tighten it. And that is where you want your stopper to be, so that you have the perfect pocket holes that will work with your Kreg screws. And I just really, really like this Kreg jig. I'm not sponsored, just so you guys know, but I do have a link in the description below through my Amazon store. I feel like this is super easy. All you have to do is you clamp it in there already. It comes with a little clamp that you can clamp to a workstation, and then it's super easy. You unclamp it, and then I like to take it comes with a vacuum attachment as well, which I don't use, but you just readjust it and you do your pocket holes, and it's easy peasy. So I highly recommend this if you guys are going to be doing a lot of woodworking projects. For the cross brace in the front that we are making pocket holes for, I made sure I measured how high up I wanted my seat. So because we're using the pre-existing brackets, I'm making sure that the brackets on the side and that bracket on the front are all level. But in general, I think it's like 18 to 22 inches is usually the height of an average seat for an adult. But right here, what I'm doing is I am gluing and screwing this into there, but I'm making sure that it is level first. So I made sure that those side brackets were level before I screwed it in. And I also marked it earlier, which you didn't see, but I mark it to make sure that after I make sure it's level, that it's on the right line, and then I screw it in. And right now what I'm doing is I am taking my miter saw and I am cutting the pre-existing top in half. Now this, you guys saw this earlier, this is just a veneer with particle board underneath. It's nothing pretty, nothing great. So I'm cutting it in half, and you can see the particle board over there to the right. I'm cutting this in half because I'm going to reuse this for the top of the piece. Now, I was going to reuse this for the seat, but I decided not to, so that's why I cut the 1/2 inch plywood for that. But here I am putting that other half on the top, and we're going to reuse that. So I'm lining it up, and I am going to take the pre-existing screw that was in there and the hole that was already drilled, and I'm going to drill that in, or I'm going to screw that into there to affix it. And then I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to use my Kreg Jig drill bit, and I'm going to make a pocket hole on the other side, and we're going to use the other screw that we took out of the other side, and we're going to reuse that as well. So I'm just taking the drill bit, I'm making a countersunk hole just really quick. I'm not going deep down in there, just so that that screw goes into the wood instead of sticking out. Otherwise our drawer will not go in all the way. So I'm screwing that in there, and then this will affix that top to the new little bench that we're making. I needed to finish off this top because we had taken the pre-existing top off. We didn't want it to look ghetto. So I'm taking a 1x2 and a 1x3, and I am going to cut those. So the 1x2 is going to go across the back, and the 1x3 is going to be the top of basically our handrail. And I'm going to mark that with the pencil, and I'm going to cut that 1x2, and then I'm going to set that 1x3 flush with it, and we're going to glue it, and we're going to use my pneumatic nail gun, and we're going to nail that in. I also put some nails along the back of the pre-existing top as well, because there weren't screws. Remember, they had those little metal brackets. So I also did the nails in there as well. Now you can see in some of these clips that I had the other half of the pre-existing top down as the seat. I didn't end up keeping that. Again, cut the 1/2 inch plywood, and that's what I ended up using was the new plywood, which you'll see here in a little bit. But I am gluing and I am nailing these in. I did 1-inch brad nails, and it is almost ready for us to start giving it a makeover. I wanted to remove the pre-existing transfer and the thick texture on this piece, so I am using my 5-inch random orbital by Surf Prep, and I am just sanding down. I'm taking an 80 grit and I am sanding down this entire piece. Now, I know later on you guys are going to say, why did you sand all that texture down if you're going to already add some more texture? But this texture was a little bit different. It was more thick, and I just wanted to take it all off to smooth it out because I didn't want this piece to be as textured as it previously was, because it had like a more chippy look to it because I did all the thick texture on it. So I'm removing all of that, and I removed the pre-existing transfer on there by just sanding it down. Now I'm going in with my Dixie Belle's White Lightning, and I'm going to clean the entire piece. You want to make sure that after you go over it with a cleaner, you go over it with clean water and a clean rag as well, and then it is ready for me to paint. I am going to add some texture to this piece, but just slightly, not as much as there was before. So I'm taking Dixie Belle's Peacock and I'm going to mix it with the Sea Spray, which is a texture additive, and I'm going to do a little bit at a time. I don't want this to be super thick, so probably a little bit thinner than the brownie batter consistency that I usually use, but I'm going to take a cheap chip brush and I am going to stipple it on the corners of this piece. I really like the way that the blue shows through the purple and pinks, and you'll see that in a little bit. So I'm going for just a really fun, cool color, kind of magical piece that could be a statement piece for a little area. So we're going to take this and we're going to put it all over the corners and over some of the other areas so that later on when I sand this, everywhere where I put blue will show through the purple that we're going to be putting on here. We're going to wait for this to completely dry though before we do any paint over top of it. I'm going to lay a base coat down of the paints that I want to use to blend. So this is Dixie Belle's Aubergine, which is an eggplant purple color, and we're going to do that on the bottom. So we're going to go from dark to light in this blend. The next color I'm going to use is Crys'Dawna purple, which if you guys have been following me for a while, you know that I've used this a few times. This is 1 part of Dixie Belle's Amethyst and 1 part of their Plum Crazy. I mixed this a while ago and it's still kept. So it'll last you a while if you make sure that it is covered. I haven't used it in a few weeks and it's still good to go. So that is going to be our middle color. And then on the top, above that color, we're going to put some Plum Crazy. So I am laying down the base coat so that I can visualize where I want my blend transitions to be. And so that's what we're doing right now is I'm actually going to go over and do 2 coats of each color before we go into our blending. When I blend, there are a few things I use. So I use a fine mist mister bottle. I have paper towels or a rag, and then I also have a clean dry neutral brush. You're going to want a paintbrush for each color. So we're going to start with Aubergine and then that purple first, and we are going to mix that transition line or blend that transition line. So I'm going to mist with water, and I'm going to go in with my aubergine, put some paint on my paintbrush, and I am going to paint on that transition line and go up ever so slightly. What this does, if you've ever blended and you've had a problem with that pre-existing line being too much and not being able to erase that, you want to make sure you go either up into the next color paint or down a little bit, and that will get rid of that line. So now we're going with Crys'Dawna purple, and we're going to go down into that aubergine. These colors are very similar, so they're very easy to blend. Like I always say, if you're a beginner or you're trying to perfect your blending, make sure you're sticking with colors that are very similar. Now we are going to spray, and I am not putting more paint on it. I am just using the aubergine brush as it was with the pre-existing paint on it, and we're going to use the moisture from the water to really blend these together. So I'm doing circles, I'm doing horizontal. I'm going to go in with the Crys'Dawna purple brush and do the same exact thing, do circles. And again, we're not putting any more paint on that brush. We are going to mist it again, and I'm going to take my clean dry neutral brush, and I am going to do circles, I'm going to do horizontal, I'll do diagonal, and this is going to help blend those two colors together. And again, because these are so similar, it is a much easier blend, so I highly suggest this for you if you are a beginner. I am going to spray that clean dry neutral brush and get off as much of the purple as I can, and then we're going to go in and we are going to blend the next two colors, which is Crys'Dawna purple and Plum Crazy. Same exact concept. We are going to mist the area. We're going to take the purple, Crys'Dawna purple, we're going to put paint on the paintbrush, not too much, and we're going to go up above where that pre-existing line was. And then we're going to take our Plum Crazy, we're going to put a little bit more paint on that brush, and we're going to go from the Plum Crazy down into the other purple color. As long as you have enough moisture, you are able to work that paintbrush. So don't be afraid to take that paintbrush and kind of flip it back and forth, do some circles, do horizontal, do diagonal, vertical. I am adding a little bit more paint on here than I did with the other colors, but that's because the purple ends up taking over. Now I'm taking the Crys'Dawna purple brush, I'm misting the area, I didn't add any more paint, and I'm doing circles. And then I'm gonna go in with the Plum Crazy brush, and I'm just gonna do a bunch of circles. Again, I didn't add any more paint to that paintbrush, so I'm doing circles and I'm just flipping it down or flicking it down into the Crys'Dawna purple. I'm going to mist it, and I'm going to take that clean dry neutral brush and I'm going to do circles, and I'm going to do diagonal, vertical, horizontal, and we are going to blend and soften all of that together. Once this is completely dry, I'm going to take my 3x4 electric ray and a fine 10mm pad, and I am going to start bringing out that blue underneath that I told you guys about. So you can see right here how that blue starts showing through where the purple and pink is, and it just looks super, super cute. It really just ties it all in and makes it all look, you know, super magical, nice statement piece. So that's what I did, is I sanded down the entire piece so that I could expose that blue that was underneath. I did want to add kind of a patina-like color, so I'm going to use Dixie Belle's Mermaid tail, and I'm going to use a cheap chip brush, and I'm going to put those in some of the ornate areas or the carvings of this piece. I'm just going to dab a little bit of that paint in there. It dries a little bit darker, and then I'm going to spray over that with some water, and I'm going to wipe it back with a paper towel. Now you can add more water. You're going to see me add a little bit more water to get more of that paint out of the crevices. So you could leave it if you wanted to, but this is just going to add another dimension, another layer of color that's going to go with this piece. I made sure that I stained the raw wood that we had before and the pre-existing wood with Dixie Belle's Voodoo Gel Stain and Tobacco Road so that everything was cohesive and came together. So I am just taking my applicator pad and the Voodoo Gel Stain, and I am staining all the raw wood. Again, I'm going to stain the fronts or the inside of the seat as well so that everything is cohesive. And then I'm going to end up sealing everything with Easy Peasy spray wax. You spray it on your piece and then you rub it in, and it dries matte and it cures really fast. People ask me all the time about using wax and is it going to give me the protection I need? This to me is only going to be a statement piece. If it was a higher traffic area, then I absolutely would put a clear coat or gator hide over top of it. But because this isn't going to be high traffic, the paint itself is really great and durable. And then this wax is going to also give it extra layer of protection. So if it's a piece that you're not using a lot of and it doesn't have a lot of high traffic, then absolutely this Easy Peasy spray wax is amazing. The last part is to add the new hardware and we are done. Okay, everybody, this video is done. This piece is done. I hope you enjoyed that. I might make a little reupholstered thingy for this. I think it would look cute on there. I'm really digging these colors. It makes me happy. Also, if you are not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. Remember, everything I use will be in the description below, so I will have links for you so you can click on them and go and grab whatever you need to grab to recreate this look, or bake something of your own. Use different colors. Thank you guys so much for watching. I am going to have a video in a couple days for you. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will see you later. Happy creating and have an amazing week. Bye, guys.
Hey, darling, can I tell you what's been on my mind? Sick and tired of the 9 to 5 in the city life. Hey, darling, we could get out of town, see the beautiful world around, wanna see it now. Pack our bags and get in that car, leave a little note and we'll drive real far. Let's get out, we can leave this city, let's drive to the open air. Yeah, the countryside is so pretty.